Hello, hello. Hello and welcome. So, big news just came out. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Ultimania was released in Japan. Well, the Ultimanias are books that Square Enix releases after their games come out, and they are like a guide. They have like character descriptions, lore descriptions. Sometimes they have short stories about the world of the game they are covering on the Ultimania. They have developer interviews. They have a bunch of stuff that supports the main game that the book is covering. So this is an highly anticipated thing because there might be some knowledge here about the game, some things that people didn't know what how to interpret. Maybe we can have a glimpse here and get a better view of the story of the game, of the characters, and what to expect for the third and last part of the remake trilogy. So let's get into it. There are multiple Twitter accounts covering this and translating the pages of the book. I guess that in Japan you can't actually translate it like word for word and publish it. Some of the accounts that are covering this topic, they don't fully translate it Japanese to English. They just make like an abbreviation of the content that's in there. So take this with like a little bit of a grain of salt, but I think we can figure out the intentions and the well, some themes that are behind the pages of the Ultimania book. Also, the Shinra Archaeology Department is also translating the book. If you don't know them, they are a huge source for translations of the books. They have a website where you can find uh, Final Fantasy OG Ultimania book translated, and like The Maiden Who Travels the World, The Planet. It's something like that. The short story with Aerith in the live stream. So there's more content there that you can find translated to English. And I think we can start with that. So 18 hours ago, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth officially releases today. Assuming on time delivery, will be posting translations. And that's what it did. So we can scroll up, and the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Ultimate includes a section dealing with the game's key points and newly arisen mysteries. It spanned 4 pages in all. This is the first dealing with the world's division and plurality, as well as the white materia. So this is the most contentious point in the game. It's the multiverse thing that they are approaching. I don't personally, I don't interpret it as a multiverse. I don't think there are multiple universes, and that the game is just showing characters' wants and dreams and what they could achieve, because that's what live stream is. Live stream is not just the life force of the planet; it's also the memories of the people that died on it, and maybe of people that are still alive. That's the confusing part, but well, let's try to find out if we can actually understand better what those different worlds, as they call it worlds. They don't call it universes. They don't call it alternate timelines. Nothing like that. They call it worlds. I This is the personal take. I think the worlds a world is an internal, individual, like, perspective of the world. So the world that Aerith sees or dreams when she's with Cloud in the end, well, before she dies, well, I think that world is what she wants it to be. It's not, that doesn't mean that it's there physically, but like the physicality part of this is all really strange, and I don't know if it really matters, because maybe this is getting a little meta, but this is a video game. So does it really matter what really exists? What is reality? Maybe not. Maybe, well, it's just an abstraction and the story, and a world is just that, a story that a character makes up in their own mind. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm getting out of my league here. Let's dive into this. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. key story points and new mysteries. While many of the mysteries left in Final Fantasy VII Remake's wake have not been solved in Rebirth, several new ones have arisen to take their place. This section reflects back on some of the story's crucial components. Okay, the world is a plural and divided entity. There's no main world, I guess. That's what they want to say with this. At the end of the previous game, Zack routes the Shinra troopers who surrounded him and leaves to see another day. This differs from what we saw in the original Final Fantasy VII. However, it's now clear that these events took place in a different world from the one that Cloud and his teammates inhabit. What's more, Sephirot reveals to us toward the end of the story that several worlds exist within the planet where the game takes place. So the worlds are not parallel, are not concurrent to one another. They all exist inside the planet, inside the live stream. I think that's what I mean by this. And this kind of supports my theory of the worlds being memories and wants and consciousness of the people that make up for it, right? We can distinguish these worlds based on how loyal little stamp appears in each of them. Yeah, because stamp is just that. It's just a stamp for the player to know that what the player is seeing is a different perspective, not the mainline adventure that we are seeing. At least 5 of these worlds appear throughout the course of the game. See table in the opposite page. Okay, we'll see that. Sephirot seems to be intimately familiar with the structure of these worlds, and is apparently using them as a means to prolong the planet's life. So this is interesting. Why would you want to prolong the planet's life? I think this means that there's an ulterior motive to Sephirot's shenanigans. I don't think he just wants to become a god. Well, he wants to become a god of eternity and of all the things and everything. Why would keeping the planet alive achieve that? What if the live stream is like a 4-dimensional entity where time is not linear like it is, like it's perceived by people like us, right? So you perceive time like a sequential thing, but for the live stream, maybe everything that happened or that will happen, it's all the same thing. It's you can imagine that like a baby that was born and it's death, and it's like a wormhole that connects them, and the live stream has access to all of it. But for everyone, for every living thing in the planet, maybe that's what it is. So maybe Sephiroth found a way to also have access to that 4th-dimensional perspective, and I think Aerith as well, because like on the OG, Aerith knows that she is going to die. She knows what she has to do, and maybe that means that she is connected with the live stream in such a way that allows her to not only see the past, but also her future and what will happen after. She has like the full picture, right? But here on Remake and Rebirth, she actually loses that connection when they defeat the Whisper Mega Boss thing. She kind of loses it. So that's not clear why. Maybe it's because of the Sephirot's intervention. Maybe you want to prevent Aerith to become that, or to have that power, but she kind of has it anyway, or other versions of her still have it, because she's able to say goodbye to Cloud on her dream. But maybe that's another Aerith, not the perspective from the one on Rebirth that defied fate. Yeah, it's confusing. I don't know if you can even follow this, but yeah, well, that's what I think. It's not clear to me as well. I don't think it's clear to anyone. Maybe it's not even clear to the people that are writing this, but yeah, it's just very philosophical, and I'm really interested to see where they go with this, what themes they will present, what this means, like in a deeper level. So yeah. Seems the swarm of whispers had some influence on the world's division. Though Zack and Biggs couldn't visually perceive the whispers, they sensed them in the form of a strong wind. the main characters can see the whispers. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because they are connected with Aerith in some way. If that was the reason, Zack could see that as well. So yeah, I don't understand why some people in that world can see them, but others can only feel them. Yeah, that I don't know how to answer that. Maybe we get some answers later. Meaningful lines from Sephirot regarding the world. My dominion shall reach into infinity. It shall encompass worlds unbound by fate and histories unwritten. My fragmented mother, these errant worlds, all shall be one again. All made whole, all made whole forever. Chapter 13, revealing his ambitions at the Temple of the Ancients. So this is where you've been hiding, in a world that has accepted its fate, just as you must. Extra chapter, episode 7, upon seeing Aerith and Cloud's presence. When the boundaries of fate are breached, new worlds are born. The planet encompasses a multitude of worlds, ever unfolding. Some quickly perish, while others endure. Yet even the most resilient worlds are doomed to fade. Nevertheless, their loss is not to be mourned, for it's not the death but the homecoming that awaits them. And in the planet's embrace, all life is as one. So from Sephiroth's perspective, why was this a thing that happened on remake? Or was this something that already existed, always existed? It's the nature of the live stream that allows the world to have these different dimensions or perspectives or whatever you want to call it, worlds. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. It seems like when they defeated like the Fate Whisper guy, that they unlocked this kind of ability for the of the live stream, but I don't know for what reason that exists in the first place. Well, I think we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, some worlds are doomed to fade. So there are like, if the worlds are some kind of consciousness in a certain person's perspective, or dreams, or ambitions, or fears. Yeah, some of the if you interpret like that, we have fears that don't go anywhere, right? You might face a fear in a situation that doesn't become trauma. There are others that become that, and that change your personality, change your view of the world. And I think that is what makes a world endure, right? So in the case of the world with the Earth and Cloud, I think the desire for Aerith to have a connection with Cloud is so strong that made that happen, but it was not strong enough to, at least against the other desires of all the other characters and people and Sephiroth mainly. It was not strong enough to survive. And that's why it got destroyed. It had the thing in the sky, and it wouldn't endure because it was not strong enough. Maybe that Aerith didn't have a strong enough will to make that world stay like that. Maybe because she knew that it was impossible. Maybe because she knew she had to die. So a world where she lived couldn't survive because Meteor would be summoned. But yeah, it's really confusing, man. This game. Yeah, what I don't get about this, if the planet's live stream can have like a four-dimensional perspective or whatever you want to call it, how does that interact with the other planets? So Geneva came from the outer space from another planet, supposedly. But if that other planet had its own live stream, what happens when those live streams interact? Because there are multiple four-dimensional beings, each one of them being a planet. When they interact, what happens? Maybe that's what happened. Maybe, I don't know, man. Let me know if you have any theory about this, because it's really confusing. How can these four-dimensional live stream beings be interconnected, and how they influence each other and stuff? Because the Gi are really important. I think we can speculate a bit about that, because they can't be absorbed by live stream. So supposedly because they come from outer space, or because that there's another theory that the Gi were in Gaia already, but then the Cetra came and installed their own live stream, and Gi were not invited to their party. But I think they just came from another planet, maybe the planet that Genova was at before she came to Gaia. If she uses the planet's shell as a spaceship to ram against another planet and attach to it like a leech, if the other planet's live stream was completely depleted by Genova, then that means that the people there or the creatures there couldn't return to its own live stream, right? So if the Gi were people that lived on that planet when Genova arrived, their spirits would come to Gaia and couldn't return to the Gaia's live stream because it was not their own, because their own was destroyed. That's my personal theory about the Gi. Okay, now this thing, the world crossing white materia, that makes my head hurt. Yeah, all the other stuff as well. White materia in Aerith's possession is a countermeasure against the meteor summoned by the black materia. We knew that. The OG does that. Yeah, it allows her to summon Oli. However, in the world Cloud and his party inhabit, the white materia has lost its power and became transparent. Yes, when they defied fate. Some say that Aerith used white materia to summon the portal at the end of the remake to defy fate, I guess. So maybe she was the one that opened these possibilities and not Sephirot. A white materia from a different world entrusted to Cloud by Aerith in the Sector 5 slums is transferred across worlds and delivered to the Earth in Cloud and this party's world. Yeah, how can she do that? Yeah, even Sephirot was like, what? How did you do that? What I don't get is, how is Cloud so connected to the live stream? He hasn't fell on it yet. You will only have his live stream trip, mushroom trip after, on part 3. So how is Aerith able to communicate with him and even transport memories? Because materia memories are part of the live stream crystallized. How is she able to do that to him? Why is Cloud special? Yeah, it's weird. I have no idea. If you guys know, please let me know in the comments down below. I would really like to see a take on this because I have no explanation. Partway through chapter 6, Aerith suddenly notices that the material left to her mother, which till now was always white, has become transparent. In the sleeping forest, Aerith receives white material delivered by Cloud from a different world. Yeah, this is weird. I have no explanation. So let's look at the different worlds. Worlds depicted throughout the game. World type, loyal, little stuff, opinions, notes. So the world where Cloud and this party are, Beagle. The world where the game's main story takes place. In this world, Zack and Big Zev are already died. Yes. So the Bigs that we saw at the end of Remake, it was on the world that Zack survived. Or one of them. The world where Zack survived, Yorkshire Terrier. The world where Zack's side of the story plays out, in the extra chapters. A crack has appeared in the sky, the flowers have withered, and its inhabitants have resigned themselves to the end of their world. In this world, Kyrie hasn't left Midgar and is intent trying to become a new recruit with the Reborn Avalanche. Splits up due to Zack's choice, the world where Zack heads for the Shin rebuilding, a world contiguous with the world where Zack survived. Zack tries to visit Ocean in the hopes of curing Cloud, but is surrounded by a platoon of Shina troopers in Shina building. And the other split, the world where Zack heads to the Mako reactor and tries to prevent Biggs from blowing up Reactor 6. But the bomb ends up being a dud. Shortly after, Shinra troopers rush in and shoot Biggs dead before surrounding Zack. And there's another one where Zack is worrying in front of the church. Zack struggles to decide whether he should help Cloud, stop Biggs, or wait for Aerith to awaken. Sephirot suddenly appears in this world. Johnny hasn't left Midgar and passes by in front of Zack. And then there's the Sector 5 slums where Cloud and Aerith go on a stroll. The world where extra chapter episode 7 plays out. Its inhabitants are vaguely aware that their world will soon disappear. Zack is not present, nor is Elmira or Marlene. There is the main world, main story world that we follow, that we play most of the time. Then there's the Zack world and its branches. They might be worlds created by Aerith to communicate with Zack in some way. The characters that appear are all known by Aerith. Biggs was her childhood friend on the orphanage. this is the way that Aerith has to communicate with Zack, because Zack died and is on the live stream. So the worlds created might be that, might be Aerith trying to connect with him to make him understand that there are multiple worlds, and he can, by being on the live stream, have some effect, some influence on that. Yeah, the multiple dogs that are just stamps, icons, so we can distinguish them. Where else? Glenn and the Rufus. Now this is getting interesting. Glenn, an emissary from Wutai, shows up several times in front of Rufus, reading into their conversations. One can surmise the two used to be friends, but the exact nature of their relationship remains a mystery. Below is a summary of their meaning-laden exchanges and an overview of their involvement with Wutai as depicted in other works in the series. Upon hearing Glenn's name in Junon, Rufus' mind revisits a scene of him shooting down a certain man. Matt and Lucy apparently participated in the mission to attack the Shinra building. So, I guess we will see more of this with the Ever Crisis game. I think it will take some time for them to get there, but maybe they will get there before the third part comes out. I hope so. Rufus and Glenn's involvement with Wutai. In Before Crisis, we learned that Rufus helped fund Avalanche out of their base in Wutai 4 years ago. In the opening cinematic of the first Soldier, we see Glenn facing off against Sephirot, who was dispatched to Wutai 7 years ago. Glenn's comrades in arms, Matt and Lucia, whom together with Glenn, Yuffie introduces a trio of ex-soldiers. I think this is a mistake, right? Glenn's comrades in arms, Matt and Lucia. Oh, okay. Yuffie introduces them as a trio of ex-soldiers that are helping Wutai. Okay. Are name dropped as captains during a flashback. Some meaningful exchanges. Rufus, I thought you were dead. Then you thought right. Yeah, because it was just a robed guy that Sephirot was manipulating. Coming face to face in Junon's Shinra branch office, Rufus is shocked to see Glenn alive. Glenn responds with a laugh, though his reply sounds facetious. Considering what he says and does later, it's possible these words were no joke at all. You wouldn't have if you'd spent some money on that set. Oh, you're probably right. Rich kids do like things just so. Remark on Viceroy Saruf's failure to show at the press conference. Rufus utters these words as if intimately familiar with Saruf's personal texts. Glenn calls Saruf a rich kid, reminiscing of his line to Rufus in Chunon. You rich kids always did prefer to march to the beat of your own drums. Glenn in the back, just like old times, after being shot in the back by Rufus. This line implies that Rufus shot Glenn in the back once before. This scene also reveals that the man we assume to be Glenn is in fact a black robe. Our promised land will become a reality, a father's dream accomplished by his son, revealing his true goal to Rufus. During this scene, Sephirot's voice and appearance overlaps with Glenn's, hinting that all of Glenn's previous behavior was in line with Sephirot's intentions. I don't think there's anything new here. There's a theory that Glenn is Cloud's father. I don't think there's enough evidence to believe that, but yeah, I'm excited to see Matt and Lucia on the third part, maybe. So, what more? What fate awaits Aerith at the Forgotten Capital is one of this game's most anticipated elements. However, it's difficult to say at this point whether she died or is still alive. While Cloud's companions have recognized that Aerith lost her life, Cloud's impression is that she's alive and well. That clears up some theories, I guess. The scene where Sephirot takes Aerith's life is not directly depicted and can be interpreted in a variety of ways. Below, we have the attempt to organize what we know by focusing on the difference between what Cloud and his companions perceive. Cloud utters something as he embraces Aerith's mute body. This scene isn't clearly depicted due to the interference mixed in. Yeah, because Cloud can't compute. Aerith rushes in to join Cloud's battle against Sephirot, where she came from and how she's got here, and still unanswered questions. Before sending off from the Forgotten Capital, Cloud and his companions stop beside what looks to be a spring where it was buried in the original Final Fantasy VII. So yeah, this just confirms that she's dead, I guess. Well, she's dead for everyone except for Cloud, because he keeps seeing her and he doesn't want to believe that he's just really fragile, and he needs to create that protective shell, that illusion, so he doesn't fall apart right there and then, and he can keep going against Sephiroth, or maybe not against, maybe to him. I think this just confirms it. I think it's nothing new. There's no Genova controlling air. It's like puppets or like illusion from Genova in Cloud cells or something like that. I think it's his head that just can't compute. Aside from that, there's also the vision of the sky. So it's not just that he's coping with it and just creates this illusion of Aerith. There's also another stuff that's inside him. That's what I don't know how that happens. That's his connection to the live stream that Aerith uses to transport objects like materia from there to the main reality. I think it's a mix of both. I think Aerith is dead. He's trying to cope with it, but there's still a connection with the live stream, and maybe there's like he can like get some kind of information from the live stream. I don't know why. That's not clear to me. And also there's the when Aerith goes to pet Red 13 or Nanaki, you can sense her. Like when Aerith died and went to the live stream, she kind of changed it in a way that people that are attuned with the live stream or more sensible to it can kind of get some feelings for that, right? Like Nanaki is much more connected with the planet than other characters, and that's why he felt her presence. I don't think it was her presence there near the Highwind. I think it was her presence in the live stream, and I think that's what Cloud is experiencing as well. He feels in some deep level that she is in the live stream and that she's changing things down there, but he interprets that as she being alive. His mind can't understand that clearly, and so he hallucinates. Something like that, I guess. I don't think we have answers. Scenes that illustrate differences in what Cloud and his companions perceive. All party members aside from Cloud enter the battle with Janova with their limit gauges full due to rage they're feeling. Yes, people talked about this. For him, she's not dead, so he's not really that enraged. He's just, yeah, I saved her. She's fine. Let's kick his ass, but he's chilling. He's being Cloud, or being Zack, or a mixture. During the battle with Sephirot Reborn, Barrett's voiced the line, "This one's for Aerith." When setting off from the Forgotten Capital, Tifa is unable to see Aerith when Cloud is gazing at her. Yeah, she's dead. During the final battle with Sephirot, Cloud fights alongside Aerith. Yeah, because the battle with Sephirot, I don't think it's a battle in the real world. The real world, the characters are fighting Genova Lifebringer, or however she's called, I don't remember. The fight against Sephirot, it's happening in the live stream or in his consciousness, in like that ethereal place that he has access for some reason. Maybe because he is connected on a deeper level with Sephirot, he can actually grasp some of those things, and maybe Aerith is using his connection with Sephiroth to communicate with him and also make a DHL delivery of the white materia to him. So maybe Aerith is playing Sephiroth like a lot in this game. Maybe that's it. After final battle, Aerith opens her eyes when Cloud calls out to her before boarding Tiny Bronco in the ending cinematic. Cloud exchanges a few words with Aerith. Every word that she says, she already said it before, so they are just memories he has of her. I don't think she can talk to him. I don't think his connection is that strong. Things only Cloud can see. It's unclear at this point in what capacity Aerith is appearing, as a living person, a spirit speaking from the live stream, or an illusion seen only by Cloud. Yeah, so they give these three options. So it's one of the three. If it's on Ultimania, I think we can assume it's one of these three. I don't think she's a living person, at least not in this, not at this time in this world. A spirit speaking from the live stream, I think she is. Well, I don't think she is speaking. She is getting into the live stream, understanding what that is, what she can do, how can she cast Holy. If they were inspired in some way by the maiden who travels the planet, maybe she's having that experience. People say that's not canon because it's not referenced anywhere, but the creators of this game might have read that and thought it's cool. Because on that short story, she tries to connect with Cloud, but she can't. And she entrusts Tifa, like she says, yeah, you do it, Tifa. Like you are more connected with him than I am. maybe she is having that experience of connection with the bigger live stream consciousness for the thing. It's sending some energy, but Cloud is just, he can't compute that. And he imagines that she is alive. The crack in the sky. This crack was also seen in the world where Zack survived. In those worlds, it was a sign that foreshadowed the end, but what could it mean here? I think here it means... So, the crack in the sky, this is really important. What it could mean here, because in the other worlds, it means it will foreshadow the end. But in this case, it's different. They say this here. When Cloud sees a crack in the sky, what's cracking is not the world that's going to end. It's his own mind that is being fractured. He's completely... He's out of himself. He is the Cloud, the teenager that's in there, like really Eden, trying to understand all this. He is dying. Sephirot is consuming him. He's like... he can't handle that. His personality is so fragile that he's cracking. I think that's what it means. It's not that the world is dying. It is, but for a different reason. It means that what's left of his personality, of his original personality, Cloud, it's dying. And he will have to fight that with the help of Tifa on the next game. They will now move on to translating development staff interview in full. I will link all this below, the Twitch account. I will link all this below, the Twitter account. This document where they are translating the Ultimania. Then there's also this girl, Audrey. I think she's Japanese, and she got the book, and she is giving some insight about it. So this means there are potential 7 worlds, and the worlds are different. We knew this already. Let's see if there's anything new here. Just a note, there are 2 Yorkshire Terrier worlds. Breed is the same, but the appearance is different. So they represent different worlds. To further confirm, Nojim also confirms in the interview that there are indeed multiple worlds, but perhaps different from parallel worlds. That kind of supports my idea that the worlds are not timelines, they are not multiversal stuff. Zack is just making these scenarios in his own head. That's why he always dies in the same way, because he's already dead. He can't change that, right? He just imagines that what would be like if I change that, but then he also is confronted with inevitability of his death that occurred in the past in relation to the current timeline of the events of the game. Rebirth Ultimania validating Before Crisis and Rufus' involvement in Shinra. We love to see it. Nice. I will be playing Before Crisis after I finish the OG Final Fantasy VII. Stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see a Before Crisis playthrough, the fun remake. Rebirth Ultimania confirmed Yelena to be 18 years old. She's so young. Yeah, but she's new. Profile for Root says he might look scary on the outside, but he deeply cares about his comrades. The book mentions he shows a side of himself. Here, he deeply misses his partner after keeping up with Dylan and their temper. Who wouldn't, right? Cisne is confirmed to be 22. Her weapon of choice is a large shuriken. She worked with Shinra in the past and was friends with Zack. The book says Dorian is bored out of his mind while he's taking his extended vacation to recover from his injuries, but he's ready to jump back into the fray as he's ready to get revenge against Cloud. Zhang is the leader of the Turks and has watched over Aerith since she was a child. He's Rufus' right-hand man and acts in secrecy, serving Aerith and also following Black Woods. Specialist in martial arts to fight with a gun. Nojima says regarding the Gold Saucer date scenes, because people have high expectations of the event, he hopes you can enjoy it as a fun part of the game that is slightly removed from the story. He says that what they created for the Gold Saucer Affinity dates kind of reminds him of a dating simulation game. His answer was given after a comment was made by the interviewer regarding the Tifa and Cloud kissing during the Saucer date. Yeah, it's all fun service at the end of the day. I don't think it's for service, it's gameplay. This is a game, after all. So we don't have to try to make this more than it is. This is not the Bible. That Final Fantasy VII story will not give us the meaning of life or anything like that. We can have fun stuff like this. The OG had this. I don't think it's a big deal that there is no canon date. I think you, the player, can make your own head canon however you see fit, depending on how you wanted to play the game, the character that you like the most, whatever, right? It's a game. Use your imagination. The writers don't need to have a fixed story for these kinds of stuff that are gameplay oriented, right? But yeah, I think this will be really controversial. I think this is really fine. This is fine. This happened in the original. They are just expanding on it. Nomura says the words at the ending, no promises await. The journey's end is a translation of two messages. There is no promise to the end of the journey, and the end has nothing decided. And I think this is a meta commentary on their own development. I think they put this here, first of all, to tell the player, look, you should play the last game, because you don't know what will happen. We don't promise you anything. And two, they don't know. Well, maybe now they know, but when they finished this game, maybe they didn't know how the game would end. So they don't make promises. They leave things vague for some reason, to have mystery, to have people speculating, for me to make this video, for multiple reasons. So part 4 is confirmed. I think after the trilogy ends, they will make multiple like side projects and movies and series, and they will expand this like crazy. I think so. I really think so. Nomura says that he actually wanted the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 be titled Reunion, but since that title went to Crisis Core, he couldn't use it for Part 2. He says he has not disclosed Part 3 titles to anyone yet. So pack it up, guys. Part 3 is most likely not going to be called Reunion, based on how Nomura said he couldn't use the title. Yeah, this was clear, I think. No one that knew that Crisis Core was named Reunion expected it to be called Reunion. And this shows that the decision to name Crisis Core Remake a remaster, a Reunion was not from Nomura or anyone in the development team of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It was a Square Enix decision, marketing department or something, and they didn't like it, it seems. I'm still holding out to my return title theory. Yeah, I think it will be called Return, if we go by the theory that the last song in the official soundtrack hints at the next title's name. The last song on the original soundtrack is called Aerith's Theme Return to the Planet. It's Return, and people will return the game as a joke. They will go to the stores and say, well, the game says to return it, so you have to take it. Nomura says Glenn Lodbrock was originally a character made for the Rebirth, who later then became the main character to Ever Crisis the First Soldier. Who exactly Glenn and the mysterious Saruf will be revealed in part 3. So Saruf is Rufus, and Glenn is Glenn, maybe Cloud's father. Glenn looks familiar. Well, yeah, he looks though, but he does look familiar. He has a depth of 4,000 gil. Cloud goes to Midgar with 2,000 gil in his pocket and he loses it to a con artist. And the other 2K, I think his mom paid him to the driver. So he was nice to him, and they describe that Cloud as a fine kind of good guy. He's kind of dead on the first soldier. In the first soldier, he also meets a kid called Rosen, and I think it's Lucia that comments, "Oh, you are something along the lines of, oh, you are like with paternal instincts with this kid." So maybe he feels bad about leaving Cloud to pursue his career as a soldier, I guess, or for abandoning him, maybe even. And he feels bad about that and tries to compensate by being friendly with Rosen. So that's a possibility. I would prefer not. I don't think we need to know about Cloud's death. Just let him be a nobody like he is. Because if not, you kind of lose some of the like a loser becoming a hero, right? Because Cloud is a total loser. He's a loner. He's a kid that doesn't go along with anyone. He's just too shy. He's really childish and has like hero figures and can't develop his own personality. But then he overcomes that and all the things that the torture they did to him, the injection of Genova cells and everything like that, and he overcomes that and becomes person that the authors need him to be, and he's there for his friends that supported him and to save the world ultimately. So by giving like another big character, I think it makes the world smaller as well. It's a problem that Star Wars have. Star Wars is a big galaxy, but you go to any planet, you see a familiar character that is connected to another one in another media. I think it cheapens it a bit. One thing that I felt on Rebirth, I think the world was kind of small. Well, it kind of had to be open world, but you don't see much of civilization, right? Don't see many people. Cities are small, and this kind of stuff makes it even smaller, I guess. What else? Nomura's interesting comment where he says the line from the release date trailer, "Will you be in the world that I'm trying to save?" is intertwined with Aerith's fate. Fascinating insight. The world will be saved, but will you? I think this is a reference to Aerith because she sacrifices herself. And it's also a reference to Cloud because after she dies, she also is trying to save Cloud and for him to be okay. And she wants to save the world also because of Cloud, not just because of the world. Amaguchi says in the Ultimania that part 3 should cover parts related to G, such as Icicle Inn and Northern Crater, the awakening of the weapons, flying around in airships, etc. However, he is wondering how exactly to represent the freedom of flying in an airship with the game in such high graphic detail. He hopes to be able to bring something surprising to the experience, much like how Part 1 and 2 introduce new and exciting features. He says it in his answer as he says something along the lines of like, well, in OG this happens, but kind of tones since they're not sure exactly from what point they will start Part 3. I think they should start on Rocket Town with Seed's backstory and improve that because on the OG, that doesn't make sense. Why would Rufus be there to grab an airplane? Yes, the fucking high wind. Just grab that and go to Northern Crater, like, what? So that part in OG doesn't make any sense. I think that needs to be improved. In the OG, Sid is really a really asshole, a really bad person. He is an asshole completely. He verbally abuses his wife, or I don't know if she's his wife, but Shara. They need to change that. Well, they changed his personality already, right? He's not that asshole, that kind of an asshole anymore. He doesn't smoke, because kids. So Sid is a completely different character, I think, and they will expand upon that. We also need much more backstory for Vincent. I think there's a lot of things that they need to do on part 3 to wrap all this up. So they need to cover the story of the OG with the weapons, fights with the weapons, Icicle in, snowboarding, giving black materia to Sephirot, Rufus, the execution, the attempt, shooting weapons, well, all that stuff. Medieval live stream, the media raid. That's a bunch of content already there. And Wutai, because, well, in DOG, Wutai is not really that expanded upon. You have like a side quest with Yuffie, but they are expanding with the war and with Glenn, and maybe Matt and Lucia will appear. So I think that they will have to make like that a big city like Midgar to cover that. So and then the Whispers thing, the multiverse. Sorry, not the multiverse, the multi-world stuff. They have a lot to unpack on the third game, man. A lot. Nomura explains the symbolism of Rebirth CG official art. Cloud's name Cloud represents stormy sky on the left. Zack's last name represents clear skies on the right. Skies intersecting in the middle with Sephirot, dyed red to symbolize meteor, representing each of their fates changing. More. Nomura specifically asked the team to add in Yuffie's first love story in Gold Saucer's date scene. He explains when he first saw the remastered scene where Yuffie first meets Zack in Crisis Core, he wanted that moment to leave an impression in her memories. Thus, he asked the team to include that little tidbit about her first love. Don't think it changes anything. Interview asks why there was a single falling feather that showed up at the start of the journey. Nomura Lawson says perhaps it's something to do with something like an angel in quotations. Angel? I wonder if this implies that this Zack was brought to life after Angel pulls him up at the end of Crisis Core with feathers surrounding him. Yeah, again, I don't know anything about this. I haven't played Crisis Core. I will though, before Crisis, and after I rewatch Advent Children, I will play Crisis Core, maybe it will be clear. Part 3 main story has already been completed, and Nomura thinks they will perhaps start voice recording in the near future. That's nice. Remarks that Kitase proposed an idea about something very important to include, even though it wasn't in the original game. And Nomura is pondering how to deliver. He thinks it will surely make people happy if they can do it well. Kitase hopes to deliver an amazing product for Part 3 without having to sacrifice quality over time. He says the reason why Rebirth was such an efficient development period was because they retained the same staff, and Part 3 will also have the same team. This is good, good information to have. Yeah, they have the tools all built up. They might have some challenges. I think biggest challenge that they will have is making the open world accessible by airship and the airship gameplay. I think that's the most challenging stuff that they will come up against. But if they are all the same people, I think they can handle it, unless they realize that they can't develop an open world with airship movement in Unreal 4, and they need to move it to Unreal 5, and that will delay the game like for 1 or 2 years. Hope that doesn't happen. Kitase mentions Rebirth was done in 3 years, and 1 year was developing DLC. I think this means the remake DLC. 1 year for DLC? That's the longer thing. And he hopes to be able to stick with that schedule for Part 3. Kitase has hopes that the world of Final Fantasy VII may continue on even after finishing the remake, but they need to wrap up Part 3 first. Yeah, that's what I said before. I think they will keep expanding upon this. These characters are too loved to not be milked for the foreseeable future. Not just in games, but in other media as well. Maybe even comics and Netflix series and movies, mobile games and card games. He wants to finish the story on a positive note without leaving behind an unfinished business, but that's just his own personal opinion. Okay, this doesn't mean... Oh, I missed this. Thinks Part 3 will perhaps be his last involvement with the game in his Final Fantasy VII series due to his age. He wants to bring the trilogy to a close with hopes that Cloud and all the characters will be happy at the end. Why? This kind of spoiler? Well, we don't know if they go in this direction, but I don't want everyone to live happily ever after. That's not the world of Final Fantasy VII. The world of Final Fantasy VII is dire. It's humanity at its worst. The ending, the original ending, like humanity is destroyed. Only the species that were connected with nature survived. I think that's a strong message. There's people that don't agree with that, and that's too bleak, and that kind of don't give us hope. But I think it kind of does. I think it kind of sends the message that humanity needs to change in order to survive, and I think that's a really powerful message. I don't want them to retcon that just to make Cloud and friends all happy and around the fire telling stories and kissing each other. And yeah. And more an interesting remark about when you fight Sephirot during the ending battles. Sephirot's existence can actually transcend worlds and exist at the same time in multiple worlds. When Zack comes to help Cloud, they both exist in a moment where the two worlds join. Inside the live stream, that's where they are fighting Sephirot. Further, when Zack, Cloud, and the other party members all fight Sephirot Reborn, though they are presumably existing in separate worlds, they are still fighting the same entity. Okay, so each consciousness is on a different place, but they kind of join together in a stream to fight the virus, the enemy, right? That is trying to destroy it all. And Aerith as well, right? Aerith does the same thing as Zack. There is a painting in Cosmo Canning showing Nanaki when he is a baby cub as well as a female cub too. I've never noticed this painting. The female lion cub is from Before Crisis and her name is Dania. She apparently is a childhood friend of his. Oh, I missed this. Oh, so cute. But I don't think it's Dania on Before Crisis, right? Yeah, it's Danae. But she says it's called Dania. Oh, Dania, Danae, its translation is sure. Yeah. So yeah, it's heavily speculated that Nanaki's children are sons of Dania as well, or Danae, or whatever you call it. I need to play this. Glenn is 38, and apparently messed up on a mission 15 years ago. Ever Crisis spoilers. Well, something has to happen on the archipelago for Glenn to go against Shinra. And not just Glenn, all the three of them. and to go against Sephirot as well. Vincent's real age is unknown, but he looks around to be 27. He sleeps a lot because he wants to suppress the monsters within him. I do that as well. He's super bad with technology, as he didn't even know what the Shinra card reader was out of battery. He's more adept with old tech, like the Radiant Tiny Bronco. Yeah, he's an old man. Slight correction addition. The book mentions that Vincent sleeps a lot, possibly because he expends a lot of energy when he transforms, so he needs to rest to regain. Oh, okay. Sleeps a lot to suppress the monsters within him, just like me. Yeah, for real. Myrna Wallace, not much new info, just says she fell in love and married him. Close to dying in his family. Yeah, they were all friends. According to the Affinity Shards, Aerith has a chance to get Affinity. Okay. Numerous comments on this. He mentions that many wanted to see Aerith avoid the fate in UG for Rebirth, and that's why the team delivered, having Cloud successfully deflect Sephirot. If this was the reason that they did this, I think this was a bad reason. They should tell stories. They should make stories because they are good and they want to tell them, not because fans want to see her alive for 3 seconds. This doesn't look good, man. I don't think we'll have a satisfying conclusion to this based on that. On this, that's why the team delivered. I think you should focus on making good stories, not just a bunch of fan service. That will bite you in the end. There is a question that then asks why every time Cloud gets a headache with noise, he sees random flashbacks. Normally says there is a lot of elements that go into this, but for now all he can say is represents Cloud's state of mind, rejecting those from the flashbacks. Yeah, he sees the truth and he closes the book and he ignores that. He denies that exists. He's in denial, basically. Also to note, follow-up questions and answers to this, noticing that Cloud and Zack's fight shows that 2 worlds are existing at the same time, and Sephirot's existence can transcend multiple worlds, so it's all relative and up to interpretation. Yep, we also talked about this. Official revealed the ages, Rufus 30, saying 30, Reno 28, Ruth 30. First time the official ages have been announced for them in the entire Final Fantasy VII compilation. Oh, I didn't know that. Just want to add that Reno, Rude, and Rufus' age makes lots of sense. Reno and Rude are already Turks before Crisis, which happens 6 years before events of Final Fantasy VII. Rufus is old enough to make big decisions in that game too. The only person with a weird age is Sang, he should be 35. The Final Fantasy VII Remake Ultimania book has also confirmed Reeve's age to officially be 35 years old. Okay. And that's it. I think we covered most of it. Just really interesting to go through. Let's hope that in the next few days a more appropriate translation with the prints come out and we can go through all that in the context of the image that they are showing and not just like interpretations of the words, so we can make our own. But for now, I think I've talked enough. If you like these kinds of videos, if you have your own ideas, please let me know. I love discussing this stuff. I really get obsessed over fictional universes, as you can see. And if you are one of those people that also really like Final Fantasy VII and want to try to figure out what it all means, please let me know in the description. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.